Hello and welcome to Odds and Ends Part 3. In this episode we'll cover Annatto, Huauzontle, and Huauzontle. We'll start with Huauzontle. Huauzontle, also known as prickly pear, is a genus of different cacti, which includes 188 species, 78 of which are native to Mexico, and at least a few of them are domesticated. The species that are domesticated include Huauzontle albicarpa and Huauzontle ficus indica, while other species, such as the one seen on this picture. One such key difference between semi-domesticated and wild strains versus domesticated species is that there's a higher pulp amount in the domesticated forms and far more aborted seeds. In fact, the two domesticated species I mentioned before had 50% more aborted seeds than any of the semi-domesticated species or wild species of prickly pear. The selective breeding process that the two domesticated species have undergone have also changed their physiology as well. They now rely more so on asexual reproduction than sexual reproduction. There's also found to be a loss in seed hardness in comparison to the wild variants. Huauzontle ficus indica has softer seeds that imbibe more water more quickly than any of the wild species, indicating a loss of dormancy often found in domesticated plants, and far fewer seeds of Huauzontle ficus indica germinated when planted, further indicating a greater reliance on asexual reproduction, a phenomenon found in many types of tropical fruit trees and asexually propagated crops. As of right now, the two domesticated species of prickly pear include Huauzontle albicarpa, which has over 20 cultivars, and Huauzontle ficus indica, which has only 15. Now on to the next part. Huauzontle is a Chenopodium species that was utilized by the Aztecs and began declining shortly after the Columbian era. It is used to make the two crops known as chia, as in chia pet, chia, and quillet, a spinach-like strain used for vegetable purposes. The genus name for the species would be Chenopodium nataliaceae. It was initially thought that the species was actually a subspecies of quinoa, although later genetic tests disproved such a hypothesis. Based on the genetic tests, this is domesticated purely in Mexico, negating that hypothesis. Based on current genetic evidence, the weed species Chenopodium bellerindii is a likely candidate as the wild ancestor to this species. Since the oldest specimens are found in Mexico, it's likely that, unlike which was domesticated in South America and moved to Mexico, this one was in fact domesticated in Mexico and moved south from there. To further test this hypothesis, Huauzontle was crossbred with Chenopodium bellerindii and many other Chenopodium species. The hybrids between Huauzontle and quinoa showed limited fertility and rarely set seed, indicating genetic incompatibility. Most of the Huauzontle and Chenopodium bellerindii varieties, when they were crossed together, produced sterile offspring, with a few fertile offspring mixed in, surprisingly enough. But several subspecies actually crossbred and produced fertile hybrids with Huauzontle. Further similarities between both Huauzontle and specifically the subspecies Chenopodium bellerindii, subspecies Shaxi, show great genetic compatibility. And utilizing genetic comparisons, it was found that the species Chenopodium nataliaceae, or Huauzontle, is actually a subspecies of Chenopodium bellerindii, which is quite fascinating. Now on to the domestication of Annatto. Annatto is a large tree that is used to produce dye within eastern Amazonia. It is speculated that this species, Bixa aurela, was domesticated from Bixa arborella. There are about 5 species recognized within this genus that are used for this purpose of dyeing: Bixa aurela, Bixa arborea, Bixa excellia, Bixa platycarpa, and Bixa urucana. Still yet another individual suggested that Bixa Axilla might be a wild ancestor to Annatto. Utilizing genetic comparisons, however, they found something quite different. After a complex study of the biology and ecology of the species, it was found that it's more likely that Bixa uricana is the wild ancestor to the species. This is due to the fact that the only trait that separates Bixa uricana from Annatto is the descendance trait, and the largest population of uncultivated Annatto are found in the same region where Bixa uricana dwells, in the Paru River. Both species seem to frequently crossbreed with no difficulty, and there are almost no differences between the hybrids and the wild strains in terms of physiology, indicating that Annatto was domesticated from the Bixa uricana species. In terms of when it was bred and where it's bred, it was found that there are no examples of Bixa species in the Caribbean naturally. As such, it could not have been domesticated in the Caribbean area. As such, it had to be found in continental South America. The first known example of Annatto in the archaeological finding was dated back to 2400 BP, although a later strain was found in an area called Plum Piece, which dates back to between 3700 and 3600 BP. As such, it is likely that it was domesticated around that time. Well, that all concludes everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to me on BitChute for a greater variety of content, 4 videos a week. And thank you to all my subscribers on both platforms. I appreciate it.